Hey, what's going on out there? I'm Sean Devine. Hope you all are doing well. In this tutorial, we are going to be building a powerful mastering chain with the SSL Fusion plugins. We are going to do it with one plugin instance on the master bus. This is one of the most requested features I've heard from those of you who are utilizing the SSL Fusion plugins. You want them laid out in a way that they are in the modules for the actual hardware, which I used in this master. I'm going to show you all those settings, but we're going to rebuild it here in the new redesigned version of Waves StudioRack 14, which enables you to load third-party plugins, and you're able to save these settings and use them across your favorite DAWs. Let's take a listen to my mix, and we'll build this mastering chain from scratch using all 5 SSL Fusion plugins. So we'll disable all of the SSL Fusion plugins for now. Some of you may notice that I do have Ozone 10, the maximizer, on the stereo bus, and all I'm doing here is just keeping us below 0 true peak, and then just boosting it to give us a competitive loudness. The track is by Bubby Galloway. It's called X Me Off from his new album. Let's take a listen and we'll dive in.
Oh yeah, love left me scarred. I wish that we could press restart, but it's too late to apologize when you already X'd me off. I know you struggle being honest. Had to cut you off, I didn't have no other option. Love ain't gotta cost, you always wanted to be toxic. Now I got too much money to deposit. Whatever I wanted, I went and got it. For the times it was dry, I flooded the watches. Kept counting the blessings that I know God sent. Now they can't believe what Bubby accomplished. It's not a contest, I'm just thankful I made it out of the project. If they ain't hating, then you ain't making no progress. Pay no attention, they gon' hate you for a lot less, yeah.
So that's my mix. I exported that with the Fusion hardware all disabled. So we're going to go back and rebuild all that here in the plugins. But just for those of you who are curious to know the exact settings that I had on the analog hardware unit, I'm going to show you that really quickly. But the processing that we're going to utilize here in the plugins, and also you find here in the hardware, is the vintage drive module, the Violet EQ, the high frequency compressor, stereo image section, as well as the transformer, which now has a plugin version as well. So we're going to rebuild the settings for all of these here in StudioRack. So let's start off with the Violet EQ on the hardware. I did not use the high pass filter, but we are going to add a little bit of low end, a little bit of high end. I believe I used the 12K notch on the hardware. So let's start there. I'm going to go ahead and enable this.
Oh yeah, love left me scarred. I wish that we could press restart, but it's too late to apologize when you already X'd me off. I know you struggle being honest. Had to cut you off, I didn't have no other option. Love ain't gotta cost, you always wanted to be toxic. Now I got too much money to deposit. Whatever I wanted, I went and got it. For the times it was dry, I flooded the watches. Kept counting the blessings that I know God sent. Now they can't believe what Bubby accomplished. It's not a contest, I'm just thankful I made it out of the project. If they ain't hating, then you ain't making no progress. Pay no attention, they gon' hate you for a lot less, yeah. Now I expect it.
So that was just simply 1 dB at 30, and then about 3 dB at 12K, which is what I did on the hardware. And already, I mean, this is one of the best plugin EQs I've heard. It does sound a lot like the hardware. However, just to note, as I'm going through this, I know a lot of you want to compare the plugins in terms of exactness to the hardware. Are they both great options? Absolutely. Are they the same? They're not. I've tried tons of high-end boosts and plugins, and I can just tell you they're not all created equally. And this is a real standout for me. Moving on to the vintage drive module. This is one of the most misunderstood, but also the most powerful modules in the Fusion hardware. And in plugin form, we get some advantages, which I'll talk about in a minute. The settings don't translate in an exact way from hardware to software. With this one specifically, I tried to set it on the same density, same drive settings that I had on the hardware, which was something like 7 on the drive, minimum on density. Completely different kind of effect, or at least in my experience. So we're going to set it just according to our ears and something that's appropriate here for the plugin. I'm going to slowly bring the drive and the density up.
Yeah, love left me scarred. I wish that we could press restart, but it's too late to apologize when you already X'd me off. I know you struggle being honest. Had to cut you off, I didn't have no other option. Love ain't gotta cost. wanted to be toxic. Now I got too much money to deposit. Whatever I wanted, I went and got it.
So we get a big lift. Now I know a lot of you who are sensitive to gain matching, it's obviously louder. So if we turn on auto gain, this should give you a clearer perspective.
It's not a contest. I'm just thankful I made it out of the project. If they ain't hating, then you ain't making no progress. Pay no attention, they gon' hate you for a lot less, yeah. Now I expect it. If it ain't money that's calling, I don't accept it. Motivated by dollars, I go collect it. This 40 I'm holding, keep me protected. Ain't no fear in my mind, no hate in my heart. I love hearing you lie.
So even with auto gain on, it's very easy to hear. It's not just an increase in loudness. You know, we get a lot of thickness and we get a lot of power to our mix from that. It just really brings a lot of things forward, gives it that punch and that impact that we need, some of that analog character that you find in the hardware module. Now, one thing I do want to note, an advantage here with the plugin of Vintage Drive, I hear a lot of people talk about the Vintage Drive module in the hardware and it being noisy, which it does have some hiss to it, especially when your settings on the drive are dialed in lower. A lot of times I would find myself, like I did here in this actual master, turning the drive up and then keeping the density down. And that can enable you to sort of balance the noise a little bit and not have it so noticeable. But here with the plugin, you don't have to worry about that at all. Obviously, that analog noise floor is not present. When I'm on the go, I utilize the Vintage Drive plugin. You know, obviously when I don't have the hardware and I don't think twice about it, it does what I need still, and it's a comparable result. All right, next up we have the high frequency compressor, which is another one of my favorite modules in the Fusion. Gives you that analog tape kind of roll off, smooths out a lot of the top end. And so we definitely want to utilize that here. So let's go ahead and turn this on and we'll dial something in.
Always been the same with you. Never complained about money I didn't make. Negative thoughts, but I can't change the fact that you got all this hate in your heart. Yeah, I'm locked in, eliminated distractions and got rich. Never been concerned about making your top 10. I really got some nerve if you thinking I'm not here, yeah. Been working long nights, no sleep, paranoid, knowing I got all these eyes on me. Catch them slipping before they slide on me, but on my mind I'm trying to find my peace. Oh God.
Utilizing that listen button, it's easy to kind of hone in on some of the brittleness in the mix, some of those cymbals, as well as the sibilance in the vocal. You want to be kind of careful with it because you'll notice if I turn the threshold too far up and I bring the crossover too far down, start to get a very dull and boring sort of mix.
Never complained about money I didn't make with you. Down bed every day rocking the same denim. Gave you the shirt on my back and you stuck a blade in it. Yeah, minimizing any negative thoughts, but I can't change the fact that you got all this hate in your heart. Pay the price to live this life, you know it came at a cost. Don't do no flexing with the racks, I put them straight in the vault. Yeah, I'm locked in, eliminated distractions and got rich. Never been concerned about making your top 10. I really got some nerve if you thinking I'm not here, yeah.
Next up, we have this stereo image module. I think that this is the module in plugin form that most closely replicates or emulates the module in the hardware. I think it gets very, very close. And not to mention with the addition of the shuffle control, you can even more finely tune this in.
Never complained about money I didn't make with you. Down bed every day rocking the same denim. Gave you the shirt on my back and you stuck a blade in it. Yeah, minimizing any negative thoughts, but I can't change the fact that you got all this hate in your heart. Pay the price to live this life, you know it. Yeah, I'm locked in, eliminated distractions and got rich. Never been concerned about making your top 10. I really got some nerve if you thinking I'm not here, yeah. Been working long nights, no sleep, paranoid, knowing I got all these eyes on me. Catch them slipping before they slide on me, but on my mind I'm trying to find my peace. Oh God, no fear in my mind.
Kind of wraps you around in that stereo field. Really, really nice, but also not going to mess you up in terms of mono compatibility. This is a mid-side processing tool. All right, so finally we have the transformer plugin, and this is a one-button module on the Fusion hardware. You see that in this button here, but now they have broken it down into some different sections here that make it a lot more flexible than the hardware itself. And this is another one that gets really close to replicating and emulating the sound that you get from the hardware. So I'm going to turn this on. We're going to turn the amount and the shine to minimum. I am going to turn on low frequency extend. It's going to give you a thicker, rounder low end as things come through the transformer. I don't want to lose a lot of our subs and the bass that's in this mix.
I know you struggle being honest. Had to cut you off, I didn't have no other option. Love ain't gotta cost, you always wanted to be toxic. Now I got too much money to deposit. Whatever I wanted, I went and got it. For the times it was dry, I flooded the watches. Kept counting the blessings that I know God sent. Now they can't believe what Bubby accomplished. It's not a contest, I'm just thankful I made it out of the project. If they ain't hating, then you ain't making no progress. Pay no attention, they gon' hate you for a lot less, yeah. Now I expect it, if it ain't money that's calling, I don't accept it. Motivated by dollars, I go collect it. This 40 I'm holding, keep me protected.
The shine, you don't want to get too heavy-handed with it, but it adds just a nice top-end sheen beyond just what a normal EQ, even the Violet EQ, if we had that at 20K, this does something different. It's very unique and a very powerful one that's been added to the Fusion lineup. So we've used all 5 of the SSL Fusion plugins here. I'm going to go ahead and just disable everything, and then we'll enable it one by one. Let's listen to what we have.
Yeah. Love left me scarred. I wish that we could press restart, but it's too late to apologize when you already X'd me off. Always been the same with you, never complained about money I didn't make with you. Down bed every day rocking the same denim. Gave you the shirt on my back and you stuck a blade in it. Yeah, minimizing any negative thoughts, but I can't change the fact that you got all this hate in your heart. Pay the price to live this life, you know it came at a cost. Don't do no flexing with the racks, I put them straight in the vault. Yeah, I'm locked in, eliminated distractions and got rich. Never been concerned about making your top 10. I really got some nerve if you thinking I'm not him, yeah. Been working long nights, no sleep, paranoid knowing I got all these eyes on me. Catch them slipping before they slide on me, but on my mind I'm tryna find my peace. No fear in my mind, no hate in my heart. I love hearing you lie, cause the truth tears me apart, yeah. Love left me scarred. I wish that we could press restart, but it's too late to apologize when you already X'd me off.
All right, y'all, so with that, we have built a powerful mastering chain with all of the SSL Fusion plugins within StudioRack 14, which is Waves' powerful plugin chainer. Now allows you to load third-party VST plugins like the SSL Fusion here, and we can utilize them in one plugin instance. We can also set up powerful macros across all of these plugins, which I've done here. So if you own the SSL Fusion plugins, or you happen to have an SSL Complete subscription, and you're an owner of the Divine Mastering Chains SR presets, I will offer this with these macros already set up as a free download, so you can access that in your account. I'll also include the SSL Fusion presets so you can load them as you wish. I literally run my mixes through either the Fusion hardware or at least one of the Fusion plugins on every session that I do. So again, just having the choice to go back and forth with these is great. But now with StudioRack, this is my favorite way to create chains and set up macros, and I can use these in whatever DAW I want. So if I find myself in another studio, I have my Fusion modules laid out here with all these controls and just very easy to dial in. So again, I hope you have fun with them. If you have any questions about what we did with the Fusion plugins here or how we loaded everything here in Waves StudioRack version 14, feel free to leave a comment below. If you learned anything in the video, please like, subscribe, and consider sharing. Hit that notification bell for more. We'll talk to you soon.